It's really fun just watching these long, slow waves come up behind your boat, and they just kind of pick you up, push you along, and then you feel like you're on top of everything until the next one comes and you sit in the low part of it in the trough. Honestly, I could like sit here and watch this forever if it were not so darn chilly outside. So we are on to our last 36 hours or so of the passage now, and if you can tell behind me, the sun has finally decided to come out today. I'm pretty sure both of us thought that we were not going to see it again for weeks. But we were also doing some calculations today. I do my daily stats around 1:30 in the afternoon, where I just kind of do a captain's log thing, and I found out today that we had about 170 miles left. And so once we figured it out, the speed that we're traveling at and the winds that we can expect to get for the next day and a half are going to put us to the river entrance of Cork at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we don't go into unfamiliar harbors in the dark.
This is crazy. So of course now we actually want to slow down. We're about a day and a half away right now from getting into Cork Harbor in Ireland. Unfortunately, if we go at our present speed right now, we'll be arriving in the middle of the night, basically 1 o'clock in the morning. Jess and I have a hard and fast rule. We do not go into any foreign... That's wet. Oh yeah, a little spray there. We do not go into any harbor at night that we haven't been in before, so we always wait until daylight, which is fine, but it's a very busy harbor, so there's a lot of traffic coming in and out. We don't really want to heave to in front of it, so we're trying to slow ourselves down. Right now, Jess will show you, right now we have no staysail up, no mainsail up. We're running downwind right now, a very, very reduced headsail, and we're still doing about 5 knots. Realistically, we should be doing about 4 knots is what we really want to get in that time frame that's going to put us in daylight. We just can't slow ourselves down. So
we're too damn fast.
We're too fast. So we're struggling with that. We're going to end up probably heave-toing somewhere along the route, and what that is basically just going into the wind and sitting there, holding yourself into the wind, and it stops you, pretty much completely stops you, and allows you to kind of drift. So we'll end up having to do that just to stop ourselves and slow ourselves down, but it is a little frustrating when you put up no sail, and really it's only 13, 14 knots of wind behind us, so not strong wind at all. And we're going to get about 20 tonight, so it's going to increase quite a bit. It's still doing 5 knots with just a little bit of a headsail. It's a little crazy, but not bad. I guess there's worse things in the world, right?
now on our last morning at sea, and right now Ireland is behind me. That direction, probably about 20 miles. Have not been able to make it out yet. This morning when the sun was rising, it was incredibly clear. I could see all the stars. Dawn was lasting forever. I could see the sky growing light at 2:30 in the morning, and the sun had not risen yet when I went to bed at 4, but I think Matt said it didn't come up till 5:30, so incredibly long period of time for the sky to start growing light. But this morning, since I've been up on my shift, it's just been a mix of kind of like clouds and rain. So it did not continue to be a beautiful morning. Behind me over this direction, it's probably been about the third rainstorm that has passed since I've been up, but behind me and the direction that the winds are coming, it's starting to get blue. So there's hope that it's going to be a clear day after all, and hopefully in the next 4 hours or so, we'll be able to shout land ho. And the slowing ourselves down is working. I think we're going at about 4 knots now with that reefed headsail. So we should be coming up to the river entrance of Cork right around 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, which is what we want. The sun rises around 4:35. It starts getting light at 2:30. Kind of start to see our way through there. So hopefully it's just nice, calm conditions for the rest of our way. Oh, the fishing ships this morning were crazy. Matt had one coming alongside us for about an hour on his shift. I had 4 pass in front of me, like all at once at about 3:30 this morning. Don't know if they're all headed back into harbor right around sunrise, but yeah, tonight, our last night at sea. It's gonna be pretty interesting watching the traffic. I spotted a misty and hard to see mound, but I officially have spotted Ireland. We're there, kind of. We will just be cruising along the coast for the next 50 miles, but we see it. We've arrived. Just performed a jibe because as we're getting this close to shore, there's the shipping lanes that run parallel to each other, and we're getting too close to. Well, actually, we don't want to be in them at all because the big ships go in there. We wanted to be on the outside. And so with these kind of like west winds, I needed to point a little bit more south. So did a quick little jibe, but then I'm sure we'll be jibing back in a little bit because we'll have to head northeast up the coast to get to the river at Cork. But definitely a mood lifter. Seeing that land in the distance. Just wish it were a little bit clearer so I could see it better, but I'll take what I can get. And I guess I'll just spend the rest of the afternoon keeping an eye out for more hills on the horizon and more ships that might run us down. Gotta keep a very close eye out for that today.
So about 10 miles behind us is the famous Fastnet Rock. Kind of a big icon here, especially for sailing in Ireland. Unfortunately, we can't get too close to it. In between us and the rock right now is what's called a traffic separation scheme. It's a kind of a road, a mapped road that they have for eastbound and westbound big boat traffic. So the big ships that come out of Cork and all the way up to Belfast, I guess, come down the Irish Sea. And then to get around the south coast of Ireland, there's a specific path that they're supposed to take. It's for big boats. Small boats like us have to try to get through it as fast as possible, typically on a perpendicular. So you try to get through it as fast as possible. There is an inshore route as well, so you can go on the north side, in between the north side of the rock
and the south side of Ireland. There's a little path between there as well. But quite frankly, with the waves that we're seeing right now, we really don't want to deal with that. Seeing the rock would be really neat, but we're not going to put ourselves in that situation. So we are well south of it right now. We are against an opposing current as well, so that's part of the reason why the waves are standing up so strong right now. There's about half a knot to a knot of opposing current against us right now, so coming the direction that we want to sail. What that's doing is that's stacking up the waves, so it pushes against them. They're trying to go east. The current's going west, so they butt up against each other. They stand up a bit higher, and what we're seeing is pretty steep waves. Luckily, they're behind us, so we're sailing downwind right now. We're still doing about 6.5 to 7 knots of boat speed in 25 knots of wind speed. With that little bit of sail that we have out right now, we are flying along. Again, we don't want to be. We would love to be slowed down a bit more. Realistically, we would love to be doing about 4 knots. That would put us in Cork Harbor daylight. So once the sun comes up, right now the way it looks like, we are going to have to heave to tonight and wait outside the harbor for light to come, and then we'll end up working our way in. Not a big deal, but if we only had planned a little bit better, we could have kind of hurried along and got there tonight instead of having to wait until tomorrow morning. But whatever, no big deal. So one more day, tomorrow morning we should be arriving.
Man, there is some straight nastiness passing over us right now. Just heard on the radio that there's a small craft advisory too. Forecasted winds right now are 20, they're jumping up a little over 25, which is okay for right now, but let's just hope that they do die down before we go to make our entrance in the morning, because don't want to be beaming to these seas. We were lucky that, through the evening and night, conditions off the coast began to die down, which meant the seas were much more bearable. Our twilight hours were spent edging ourselves closer to shore, and if it's somehow possible that plans well made at sea can actually come into fruition, we began our approach to Cork just as the sun was breaking over the horizon. Our intended destination was the small town of Crosshaven, and after 10 full days at sea and 1,200 nautical miles covered, we were ready to get ourselves on solid ground and begin exploring the Emerald Isle.
We're here. We finally made it. We got in first basically light this morning. Worked out perfect. Timing worked out well. We ended up having to motor the route in here. I guess we could have tacked our way in, but that ain't happening after 10 days. The sail here for the 10 days basically it took us to get here was phenomenal. We really couldn't ask for better weather. It was behind us the whole way, which is what we really wanted. The waves never really built up. We did get those 4-meter waves, but they're spaced far enough apart that really wasn't a big deal. It just turned out perfect. Wait till basically the end of May if you're going to end up doing the run from the Azores to Ireland.
Man, that sunshine did not last long this morning. We came in under beautiful conditions. Sun was shining, coming through here, and then in just the couple hours it took to get the boat situated and go up to the office to check in, it's all of a sudden cloudy and windy. So I guess we got in at the perfect time. Customs is gonna swing by tomorrow to get us all in and official. But the sail here, I don't think we could have asked for anything better. It was downwind pretty much the entire way. We did have a couple days of like confused or bad seas, but for not having sailed for like nearly a season and just throwing ourselves out there again, it was a lot better than I think either of us expected. And Georgie took it pretty well. I'm sure a few of you are like wondering how she did on the sail. Just like us, the first 2 days she was a little iffy. She did actually puke once, and I don't think it was a hairball because those come up occasionally. But after that, she was pretty cool. She did still like to glue herself to one of us, so it ended up being me most of the time. If I was in the aft berth sleeping, she was with me. If I was on watch, sitting below out of the wind, she would cuddle up in my lap. Which is so funny because I'd get up for watches. So I'd have to like kick her off, and I'd go and do my check, and then I'd come back down and she'd run back onto my lap and spend like 3 minutes just like kneading my lap, and then get herself all comfortable and sit down and start sleeping, and then like 5-10 minutes later, throw her off, and it just repeated over and over again. But she did well. And yeah, it's a shame that we've gotten here and we really don't have much time to explore. Crosshaven has a big sailing history, oldest yacht club in the world here, but we want to make our way north as soon as possible, so we'll have to save all of our exploring for when we get back here in a couple months. Hopefully take a month and do like the south coast before heading over to England for the winter. So yeah, just a few days in town and then we'll be on our way again, but I think we're gonna have to find a good way to celebrate our arrival tonight. Guinness is gonna be in order for sure. So for our first night in Ireland, we thought we'd be very Irish, which I am, half, and do a meat and potato dinner. So we walked up to the market tonight and got some Irish Angus sirloin steaks with a peppercorn butter. And I've already boiled up some potatoes here. I think I'm just gonna like fry them a little bit more in the pan, season them. But yes.
And you have a Guinness?
Oh yeah, you'll see that later. Of course I have Guinness.
I could have.
I'm gonna drink to my big juicy steak when I cut into it.
Yeah.
So yes, passage was awesome, but we still deserve a really good meal once we get in. So nothing more Irish than steak and potatoes and Guinness. So we're gonna cook it up and then hopefully have dinner before the sun sets at like 9 o'clock because we started this really, really late. Looking good. Potatoes are getting nice and crispy. I don't know about you, but this looks like a pretty damn good meal to me and a wonderful welcome to Ireland. So time to dig in, and I think Matt's getting antsy.
Thank you, my love.
Welcome. And my Guinness. My goodness, my Guinness.
And my Coca-Cola.
Which is actually about the same cost as a beer.
Pretty close.
Well, cheers. Now that we made it to Ireland, hurry because I gotta sip. I'm gonna have to sip.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Party foul. Should have made it black and tan or something.
I know.
Harp.
bunch of pandemonium.